Niels is going to try something interesting, which is like the whole thing from the iPad, which I really love. Like, if you want to apply for a talk for SwiftConf 2017, I think I will just pretend we don't have MacBooks anymore. And the requirement will be like, have it run everything from the iPad. Challenge accepted. And even for server-side Swift, get the server running somehow, locally, obviously, without internet. Yeah, it's a challenge, right? Where do we know each other from? Some random conference somewhere?
Yeah, UIConf.
UIConf.
2014.
Probably 2014. Yeah. You had long hairs.
I had hair till here.
Yeah. So. And then at one point I was like, oh, this another guy. Like, I the same thing with Jens a couple of days ago. I was like, what's your name? And he was like, I'm a speaker. I'm like, oh yeah, but there's the beard. So I couldn't figure out. Anyway, it's gonna be really exciting. And
we'll see.
Well, we'll see. And let's go. Round of applause.
Thank you very much. I'm Niels van Hoorn. I work at a company called Framer, and we build a code-based design tool. And apart from that, I'm one of the organizers of Cocoa Hats in the Netherlands. It's actually quite a miracle that this has been working, because I got some courage yesterday from the keynote as well. And I saw that the GM was available, so I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this with the latest thing. So I upgraded my iPad to the GM, and then Swift Playgrounds was gone. So I think they will remove it from the GM and then put it in the App Store, and that's why it's gone from like the GM. But so I got, I was like, shit. I luckily found like the old beta and reverted it and got it to work. So let's talk about some rules. I'm going to do some live coding, but I'm not a robot. So if you think like, I think I spot a bug, don't be like, but just wave your hand and just shout it out and we'll fix it together. And if you're like, what? Or no, don't be shy and just ask and I'll explain it some further. Okay, let's get started. I want to talk about coordinators, and we all know MVC, and we know the massive view controller, and we want to put stuff not in our view controllers but other stuff. And I don't really care about which paradigm you choose, if it's MVC, RS, or something else. I'm now going to talk about a thing that I learned about from Saroush Kanlou. He gave a talk at NS Spain about view controller coordinators. Which is basically an object that sits above your normal view controllers and are just plain objects. So what we have here is just a collection view controller that has a data source. I'm not going to talk about this data source. I did another talk about data sources, and you can look how that works there. And when we initialize it, we register the cells, we set the data source, and then here, if we did select the item at an index path, we get an item from the data source, and then we instantiate another view controller, and then we tell the navigation controller, which is basically our parent view controller, to push something to its stack. And Saroush pointed out really clearly that like children should never tell their parents what to do. And he also said like in programming, probably children should even know about their parents. So what this code does, it shows like some of the speakers we have. And if you click one, you go into a detail view controller that does this. So I want to refactor this and use some coordinators, but it's going to be protocol oriented, so we're going to start with a protocol. And the protocol is called coordinating. We're going to have an associated type that is the root view controller. And this should be a UI view controller. And then we have another associated type, which is the view controller that this coordinator is going to use, and that should also be a UI view controller. And then we have a variable, which is the root, which is of the type root view controller that we just defined, and we should be able to get that. And then we have another type, which is a view controller. and that is going to be of the type ViewController, and we're able to get and set that. So now we're going to have some default methods in this coordinating protocol, and the first one is to create the ViewController. And that will just return a ViewController. Then we'll configure the ViewController. And last we'll show the ViewController. And then there's a fourth method that will dismiss the ViewController. So I'm going to provide default implementations for these three methods. The create ViewController, you could do something with generics and associated types. I'm not going to talk about that currently, but so every coordinator should create their own ViewControllers, but then we have an extension on coordinating, and we're going to implement the configure method. Maybe you don't need to configure your ViewController, so we just leave it empty. And then show will get the root ViewController and present the ViewController that you're providing. Whoops, oh yes. So nil, animated true, and we will present the ViewController. And for dismissal, it's pretty easy. We will tell the root to dismiss dismiss the ViewController animated. Okay, so now we have a coordinating protocol, but I'm going to get, ooh, let's not do that. Wait, crap. Oops. So I'm going to create another protocol, which is navigation. A navigation coordinator. Wait, let's put it a bit up. Yeah, navigation coordinator. And this is an extension of the coordinating protocol. Ah, thank you. No. Navigation. Yes. Okay, cool. Coordinating, and this is also coordinating. Now I'm going to use a really cool Swift 3 feature because you might, if you're following along with Swift, you might have known type aliases, and you used to be able to define type aliases on protocols. But then type alias got renamed to associated type. And with Swift 3, they actually reintroduced type aliases to mean a different thing. Because what you can do in Swift 3, you can specify a type alias, and we're going to specify that our root ViewController associated type for this specific protocol should actually be of the specific type UI navigation controller. So what this does is if you conform to navigation coordinating, then you can only have a root that is of the type UI navigation controller. And that allows you to do pretty interesting stuff because we can create an extension on the navigation coordinating where we re-implement the show method. And this auto-completion is wrong. And we say root push ViewController. And I was really happy about it when I tried this in the Xcode playgrounds. But then I noticed that the iOS playgrounds are running a different version of Swift, which doesn't have this yet. But it will be in the gem, which I was so excited to upgrade, but eventually downgrade it again. So for now, we have to force cast this to UI navigation controller to get it to compile. But in the latest version of Swift, you don't have to do this. We'll have it animated and have the ViewController. So here we say if we are a navigation coordinating, we actually push the ViewController instead of present it. And if we're going to dismiss it, then, there's some weird auto-completion here. Yeah, then we're gonna do the same trick with the force casting that isn't possible or isn't necessary in the newest version of Swift, and then we're gonna dismiss this ViewController animated. So I'm gonna create one last protocol, which is sorry. Oops. So. I'm going to create one last protocol, which is, oops, yes, called popover. Oh no, I disabled my Bluetooth keyboard. Let's see. Oh.
You can set it to do not disturb and if screen is on.
Yeah, but I'll just do it like this. Okay, so where were we? I told you about the navigation coordinating, and what we're going to create is a popover coordinating protocol, which is also an extension of the coordinating protocol. And as you might know, a popover needs like a bar button item or a rectangle where to present the popover from. So we need this bar button item to exist. Bar button item. It's a UI bar button item, and it's optional. And then we can create an extension on this popover coordinating protocol, which re-implements the show method again. And it is basically going to do the same as the normal coordinating protocol, which is just present the view controller animated. But before it does that, it's going to set the popover presentation controller dot bar button item to the bar button item you provide with this protocol. Bar button item, and we need here to specify that we are able to get this property. So here we have created some protocols. Let's implement our first coordinator. So we have a class, just a normal class, that is the photo collection coordinator, and it's going to be coordinating something. Well, what it's going to be coordinating is the root, which is going to be of the type, oh wait, it's navigation coordinating, because we want this to be in a navigation controller. And the root is then a UI navigation controller. The view controller is a photo collection view controller. We're going to have an initialize method that we give the root view controller and set the root of it. Oops, let's move this a bit to the top. And then we're going to implement the create view controller method of the coordinating protocol. And we're going to return the photo collection view controller. And this is a collection view controller, so it needs a layout. I've created a layout somewhere in this playground. I'm not going to go into detail about that. So what this does is create the view controller. And then we want to start this coordinator. So we're going to create another extension on our coordinating protocol that uses all these methods to have a unified interface to our coordinators. So we're going to create another extension on the coordinating protocol. And we're going to define a start method. And this start method is getting a view controller from the create view controller method. Then it's storing that view controller in the view controller property of the protocol. Then it's configuring that view controller, and it's showing that view controller. And then we're going to add a stop method, and that is going to dismiss the view controller and set the computed the property to nil. So now my compiler is complaining because this view controller type that we have here is actually, we are mutating this. So we're mutating this class. So it says we should specify that this method will mutate things. But we don't only want it to be mutable, but we also want the type that implements this protocol, we want it to be a reference type. So the properties that we set are always the same properties. So we can do that by specifying of this coordinating protocol that it needs to be implemented by a class, by a reference type. So now I've created that. I'm here going to remove the stuff I used to have in my navigation controller. I'm going to instantiate photo collection coordinator with the root, that is the navigation controller, and then I will start that coordinator. And if I've done everything right, it will run and it will do the same things. Okay, wait. So now I've instantiated my view controller, but now I want to move the stuff, like I have a master view controller, I want to move stuff out of the view controller. So the first candidate for that is my data source. I'm going to move my data source up to the collection coordinator. And the second one is, and then I should, in my configure method, I should actually specify that this this data source is on this view controller. So viewcontroller.collectionView.data source is the data source I have on this coordinator now. And then the second thing I'm gonna move is this this method that does way too much, right? It's accessing the data source, creating view controllers, and then pushing them to the navigation controller. So I'm moving this to an extension on my coordinator, the photo collection coordinator, and I'm saying that this is UI collection view delegate, and then I'm just implementing this method. And then instead of getting the navigation controller, we can just tell the root view controller to push it. Now, this one is complaining that photo collection coordinator does not conform to NS object protocol. And that is true because the UI collection view delegate is actually an extension of a UI scroll view delegate. And the UI scroll view delegate says, okay, this should be an NS object protocol. So because I conform to this delegate, I need my coordinator to be a subclass of NS object. You can get around this by not using UI view controller of UI collection view delegate, but re-implementing that in your own protocol that is just a plain Swift protocol and doesn't require this, and then pass everything through. But I'll not go into that. So we've created this NS object. Then if we click, or we are a delegate now, and then we still need to set the view controller collection view delegate to ourselves. So hopefully this works, and I can still tap the cells, and I can still have these view controllers pushed on it. So, but we're still in our collection, or in our coordinator, we're still creating a view controller here. And I want to decouple my view controllers as much as possible. So I am going to create a separate coordinator class for this image view controller. So we're going to create a class, image view, or image coordinator. And it's going to be navigation coordinating. And now I need the same set of properties I had for the photo collection coordinator. We actually could make this a shared subclass of some kind, but for this demo I'll just copy-paste the code. I hope you forgive me. So we're going to create or implement the create view controller method, and that should whoops, here. This should be the image view controller, and this also should then return the image view controller. And we're going to return instance of our image view controller that needs an image. So where are we getting this image from? Well, it probably can be a property on our coordinator. So we have a UI image. Oops. Image. And then in our initializer, we will have this UI image and set it on ourselves. So now I've just, with a couple of lines, I only specified that this this coordinator should instantiate an image view controller. But it inherits all the methods I already implemented on my protocol. So I can just, to do this here, I can just say image coordinator is image coordinator. Oh wait, let's do it like this. Let's image coordinator. And then we'll provide it the root, and we provide it the item we got from our data source, and then we say image coordinator.start. But because we want actually to hang on to this coordinator to be able to dismiss it later, we'll make this a property on our coordinator class. Oops. And then it was an optional property, so we should unwrap that first. So now I've completely decoupled my two view controllers. They are like talking to each other through two coordinators, and those coordinators are sharing functionality through a protocol. So this is great, but you might have noticed this share button on the right over here. So let's make that work, because currently it doesn't. And that's why we created the popover protocol. So let's create another share coordinator, which is popover coordinating. Well, we need to specify the bar button item of that. We need the a root, which is let root is UI view controller. View controller. We need a view controller. That is of the type UA activity item view controller, or activity view controller. Yeah, is of the type activity view controller. We need to initialize this with our root view controller and set the root to the root we provide. Then we're going to create this view controller. And we're going to return an instance of UI activity view controller. And this needs activity items. So this needs a list of something. In our case, this is going to be a list of images. But we can basically pass anything in this. So let's make this an associated type on, let's make this class generic. So that we can use the share coordinator for any type that we would like. So we're going to make this generic and say shared type. And then we say here, well, the activity items that we provide should be, something else. We need the shared items to be provided to this coordinator. When we instantiate this coordinator, we need shared items to exist, and those are going to be of the shared type. And then when we instantiate it, we provide the shared items to this coordinator of the shared type, and we specify the shared items.shared items. And then we can provide these shared items to our activity view controller, shared items. So this is great, but it won't compile because it says shared type needs to be of the type any object. And here we say it can be any type. Again, this is something that is, I think, fixed in the newest version of Swift 3. But for now, we have to specify that our shared type is a subclass of any object. So that works. So now we have a share coordinator. We can create, or we can use this share coordinator to make the share button work. But we want to make it generic, so we're going to create a protocol, which is called sharing, that we can implement, and then we get the sharing functionality mostly for free. So what we should specify with the sharing protocol is the shared items that we want to share. And here we want it to be generic, so we're going to use this shared type again, and then we should say on the protocol that it has an associated type of shared type, and this should also conform to any object. If we are sharing, we need to store the share coordinator somewhere, somewhere, so that's going to be on a property that we define that you are able to get and set. And then we need to start the sharing at some point. So let's get, we're going to create a function which is called did tap share button with a sender. And that's going to be of type any object. And we have a function did share, which is when we actually did share this thing. Then our share coordinator was generic, as you might remember, so we need to say that the associated type that we specify in the protocol is actually the same type that our share coordinator is generic with. So actually we're passing this share type in the share coordinator and saying, okay, this is going to be of this share type, and that makes this share type of the same type as our sharing protocol. Okay, so we're going to create an extension on sharing to provide the default functionality we always want, and we're going to implement this did tap share button sender method. And what we're going to do here is instantiate our share controller, or share coordinator, sorry. Share coordinator, come on. Share coordinator with, well, a root view controller, but we are just a sharing type. What is this root view controller? Well, we can specify that only for this extension, we should have the restriction that we also conform to coordinating. And if we conform to coordinating, you might remember we specified that you should have a root property, so we can use that root property to pass in this coordinator here. And then we have defined that we have shared items on this protocol, so we can use that. So let's see what's wrong here. Oh yeah, here again we have properties that we want to contain references to, so we should have the protocol should be implemented by a reference type. This is actually something that shouldn't have to be specified because the coordinating protocol is already a class protocol. So this extension can't work without the class actually being a reference type. But Swift wants us to specify it here, so we do. And if we did share, oh yeah, and we're gonna start the share coordinator. And in our did share methods, we're going to stop the share coordinator, and we're gonna set it to nil. Okay, now we have created a lot of functionality, and let's add this to our photo or our image coordinator. So here we're going to make the image coordinator sharing. Let's see. Yeah, so we need, for that, we need to specify what our shared items are. They are of the type UI image because we're sharing images in this case. And just we're going to return an array with one element, namely the image we're currently watching. We have a share coordinator that we should specify, which is generic over UI image. And then you might remember that we have this method did tap share button right here. So we can use that once we tap on the share button. Well, I cheated a bit. Our image view controller already has this property. So we can say that our view controller did tap share button, which is like, it's not a delegate, but it's just a closure you put on the view controller will have this did tap share button thing. So if we run it now and we enter thing, this should work, but it crashes because we haven't specified that our bar button should, the bar button that we provide in the sharing coordinator should actually be set to something, otherwise the popover doesn't know where to come from. So because this did tap share button is actually coming from a UI bar button item, we can set the sender where it's coming from. We can cast that to a UI bar button item. And then, so the share coordinator dot bar button item. So we can set that to the share coordinator, so the share coordinator knows where to present the popover from. So if we run it now, then it will work, and I can share this image via email through, oops, let's share to stuff. Yes, okay. Nice. And then, oh, what? Yes. And then we shared this picture. Okay, so I said I wanted to make this sharing protocol to, I wanted to make it generic to use it multiple times, right? So let's add this to this collection view and add a sharing functionality there. Well, before we can do that, I want like an edit button and then select something and then share it. Well, I don't have time to actually go into this, but I've created an editing protocol that, if you conform to it, works for collection view controllers and provides the right functionality. Where is it? My photo collection coordinator. Oops. Come on. Is this the right one? No, this is the image. Photo collection coordinator. So I'll just copy paste this code in. I'll put this code online. You can look at the editing protocol later. But what it gives me is an edit button that I can add to my navigation item. So I'll do just that. I'll set the navigation item to an edit button. And then if we tap, well, let's just run this first. Oops. I have a problem here. What's this? Oh yeah, it's the navigation item dot right bar button item. And here now I have an edit button. I can edit something, or it switches to a done button. I can select multiple items, but it still opens the view controller. So when we're editing, we don't want that behavior of our did select item at index path. So we're going to guard here that we are not editing, else we are going to return. So now you see that I have this edit functionality. I can select multiple items, and when I'm done, it gets deselected. So we needed this because we wanted a share button here. So let's add that. So we're going to configure the view controller dot navigation item dot left bar button item to be a UI bar button item. And it's going to be a system item that has an action. The target is self, and the selector is going to be a share method that we will implement just in a bit. And now we're going to implement this share button or this share action. So we're going to have share sender any object. And now, because we can, oh yeah, and we need to confirm, so now I want to call the did tap share button method that I implemented in my protocol. So I need to conform to the sharing protocol, and to conform to that sharing, I need my share coordinator, which is a UI image, and I need the items that I want to share, which is also a UI image. So I want, sorry? Ah, thank you very much, yes. So, okay, so what I'm going to return here, well, the items that are currently selected, right? So I can do that because I have the view controller dot collection view dot selected items at index path. Wait, collection view select, no, index paths of selected items. But this is an array of index paths. So, and I want an array of UI images. So the first thing I'm going to do here is map this to only get the item of those index paths. So now I have an array of integers that contain the indexes of every selected item. And then I'm going to map that again and actually use a method on our data source, which is called item add, that will get the item for a specific index. And I'll just pass this into the map function so it will get called every time we run this. And now there are two, oh, this is $0. Now there are two problems. Chaining, oh yeah, wait, the result of my map function here isn't an optional. Come on. Let's see. Ah, yes, now I have the, yes. So there are two options here. I want an array of UI images, but I got an array of item type, which is a UI image in this case, but it's optional and the array itself is optional. So to fix this, I need two things. I need to say, well, if we're returning nil here, then we're just returning an empty array. If nothing is selected, I can just return nothing. And I want to convert the nils that are in my array. I want to just move them out. And actually, there is in the standard library this nice thing called flat map that does exactly that. So now I have the shared items. And I think, oh yeah, so now I'm confirming to my shared protocol. So here I can like route my share action to the method defined in the share protocol and say this tap share button, and then I can, if everything went well, share multiple items through email, and gonna spam stuff some more. Send him, yeah, with an empty subject. Let's be bold. So now you notice that these things are still selected, right? So we don't want that. So we're setting editing to false once we completed sharing. So here we're going to re-implement the did share button or the did share method and set editing to false, and that will automatically change the button back and does anything. So here, if I now share this or just save it, oops, then it should work, but it doesn't. Okay, that's an exercise for at home. So there's one last thing I wanted to show you, and this is there is one person missing from this, because these are all the speakers here, and I'm not in there. So let's add functionality to add an image to this. We're going to use the iOS image picker for this. And this actually isn't available in normal Xcode playgrounds, but only on, because you're in a native iOS environment here, you can use it. So first we're going to create a coordinator, which is an image picker coordinator. And this is going to be just a normal coordinating. And it has a root, which is the ViewController. UI ViewController. It has a ViewController, a var ViewController, which is the UI image picker picker controller. We're going to initialize it with the root UI ViewController. Oh, UI ViewController. And we set that. And then we're going to create this ViewController. And we're going to return image UI image picker controller. Now we need to configure it still, because we need to say what the source type of this image picker actually will be. And let's pick camera for now. And we actually need it to have a delegate to tell us that we selected an image. So we're going to create an extension on image picker controller, picker coordinator, sorry. And this is going to be the UI image picker controller delegate. And for this, we start with did cancel. And now we're going to let, like the coordinator that is instantiating us, we're going to let it know that we selected an image. Let's see. Here we're going to have the methods did complete with an image. Did complete, and this has the type with an optional image, UI image. This is a function to void, and we're actually going to provide that with the initializer as well. Oops. Is this complete? Then here we're going to, when we cancel it, we don't have an image to provide, so we're just going to call did complete with nil. And if we actually selected an image, then we're going to get that image from the info that is provided. Info UI image picker original image. We're going to cast that because it's an array of any object. We're going to cast it to a UI image. And if that is the case, we're going to call did complete with this image and return. Otherwise, we're going to call did complete with nil. So this is great, but now again our image picker controller delegate specifies that our coordinator should be of the type NSObject, or should extend NSObject. And if we're trying here in our configure method to set ourselves as the delegates of this ViewController, we're going to get another error that says, yeah, well, you're conforming to UI image picker controller delegate, but actually this delegate method specifies, this delegate method specifies that you should conform to image picker controller delegate and UI navigation controller delegate. This is actually a new notation in Swift 3 where you can combine two protocols by just adding them together with an ampersand. This used to be the notation with protocol and then like the fishy brackets and then protocols inside of that. They changed it to this. But we can easily do that and say, well, the navigation controller delegate methods are all optional, so we can just conform to our navigation controller delegates. And then we're good. Okay, cool. So now we have a coordinator for this, this image picking, but we're going to create a protocol just like with sharing for the image picking. Here we're having the, let's see, we have the image coordinator that we need, image coordinator, which is image picker coordinator, image picker coordinator. We have should pick over a pick image method, pick func pick image, and we have a callback. Let's call it did pick image, which has an image method that is provided with a UI image. So we need to be able to get this. So now we're going to provide some default implementations for the pick image method. Let's move this up a bit. Extension image picking. And we're going to implement the pick image method. And we're going to set the image coordinator to a new image picker coordinator. And we're going to start that. Oops, what's wrong here? image. Oh, this should be settable as well, and then this should be a class as well. So then this is optional. I think this should work now. Why are you complaining? Oops. So, oh wait, we need to provide the root for this image picker coordinator. So here we're going to do the same trick again and constrain our protocol extension by saying that it should also conform to coordinating. And then we can provide it with the root. We're going to implement a didComplete method on this protocol that we're going to provide for this. So let's implement that, didComplete, complete, that had a UI, optional UI image. And let's say image. And from that we are going to call our didPick method. But, whoops, the didPick method has a non-optional image. So what we can actually do is say, well, if we actually selected an image and not just canceled the image picker, then we're going to call your the delegate method. So, oops, didPick image. Okay, now we have this image picking protocol, and the only thing we left to do is to implement that protocol in our photo collection coordinator, which is getting a lot of functionality through protocols now, image picking. And for that, we need to specify when we are going to actually add this, or when we're going to actually have this image picking handle. We're first going to conform to the protocol correctly. We're going to implement the image picker coordinator, which is image picker coordinator. And we should have a method that's called didPickImage. So let's do that here. Pick image. And when we actually have this method, we're going to do two things. We're going to add it to our data source. Image at, well, let's add it at position 0. And we're going to tell our collection view that we inserted this, insert items at index path. And we're going to create an index path with item 0 and section 0. So the only thing left to do is actually calling this. Our data source needs to be mutable to be able to insert stuff, so let's do that. Well, we can do this by actually inserting an extra item to our data source when we initialize it. And we're going to insert this plus button here. And we're going to insert it at data source dot number of items. So now I have this nice, oops. What's happening? I have some error still. Oh, I should have a didPickImage method. Image coordinator. Oh wait, I think I called the image coordinator in my image. Yeah, this should be image picker coordinator. Is that correct? Oh yeah, and then I need to use that as well. Oops, yeah, whatever. No, wait. Oh, I actually spot a bug here. I actually should stop my image picker coordinator as well and set it to nil before I call the did pick image. Okay, so now I have this add button, but when I click it, I see this bigger image, which I don't want. In our select method, we are going to say if we're going to guard if the index path, index path dot item is actually similar to data source. Data source dot number of items -1. Then we are going to show the image picker. We're going to return and we're going to say pick image. And now hopefully, if I tap this, no, it doesn't work. Let's see. Does someone spot what I'm doing wrong here? Yes. Thank you very much. Oops. Oh, what's this? Oop. Yeah. So if my item is not this. And then I really would love this to work, but it doesn't. I can't take a picture of myself. So I hope they will support this in future versions of Image Playground. So what we're going to do now is just change our image picker source type to the photo library. And then I can actually select. I just saved these. Whereas, oh, I had this picture of my, yeah, there it is. And then we added this picture of me to the speakers. So, we're 3 minutes over time, but that's what I wanted to show you. Thank you very much.
All right. So we would have time for a question.
Thanks for the great talk.
Thank you.
There's only one thing I don't quite understand. I think there's still the limitation that the coordinators now are bound to whether they are presented in a navigation controller or presented as a separate view controller because of where they're...
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a reason why you didn't use the show view controller and show detail view controller stuff?
Oh
that
yeah,
figures that out on
yeah,
it, so.
exactly. That I wanted to show this this specific Swift type, specifying a type alias inside a protocol. So that's why I chose actually this this implementation. Yeah, you could do it with show view controller, but the main point is that your coordinators are always coupled to your view controllers, right? But to one view controller, like the view controller they're presenting. But the view controllers are separate objects now, and you can use you can have multiple coordinators for multiple for the same view controller if you would like to use it. Like if you wanted to do it like this,
sure.
then you could do that. But show view controller would be more logical. I agree with that. Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Another question? I have a kind of a question which is not specifically related to your talk itself, but to the actually to the content, but to the use of the playground. I was impressed. I mean, I don't know about everybody, but I was impressed on the way you can actually code with this thing and with all the completion thing. And I knew a lot of this stuff, but have you been playing around a lot with like practicing to everything? Because you reached the limits.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. When I wanted to do this talk, I set myself to do it in a playground, and then they announced like Swift playgrounds, and I was like, okay, I wanted to do it in Swift playgrounds. And then while practicing this, I noticed a lot of these shortcuts. Like if you are in a thing and you hold down the command key, then it shows you a lot of the shortcuts that are available in Playgrounds. And one I used like a lot in this talk is the toggle live view, where if you like run this and you want to get back to your code, this is way too small to write. So you just press Command Enter, which you would like as you would have in Xcode, and then it just opens that up. And yeah, I mean, I was really impressed by the autocomplete, because that is way better than in normal Xcode, which is really nice.
What was that about making the actual tools better that we said yesterday?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and I mean,
they're done with Xcode on the Mac.
When I was practicing this, I thought like, oh yeah, this is going to be a great like demo of how powerful Playgrounds actually is, and how you could actually build real stuff with Playgrounds. Not that you actually are supposed to, or you should, or this should be your default if you want to write an iOS app.
You totally should.
But I mean, you can, and that's interesting to see where it's heading, right?
Well, it's also interesting to see what all the things you've done with views, with UI views. And so the first thing that was coming to my mind all the time was Interface Builder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not available, obviously. And you have this, I skimmed over it, but you have this playground page.current.live view that you can actually use to just have interactive view controllers. And there's this other property called, I don't know, maybe this has been talked about in yesterday's Playground talk, but I wasn't there. You have this needs indefinite execution, which is actually, well, it will run your code indefinitely, which allows for interaction between your code and the Playground. So.
Any other question?
No, everyone's hungry. Let's go to lunch.
Yeah, I was going to say. So go grab food, and we will try to be back around 2, but if we're a little bit late, I think everybody's going to be cool with that. And go get the food now. And yeah, big applause. Thanks, Niels.